All right, if our opponent's last card is not Path to Exile, then we have them. And I am not playing around Path. Hello and welcome, everybody. We are here with a new one for the channel. I've never played this before on the channel, although it's always been in my back pocket. Today, we're going to be playing some Blue-Red Kiki, and I immediately want to go ahead and point out that I am not an aficionado when it comes to Blue-Red Kiki lists. I don't expect this list to go 5-0. I just expect to play this list, learn some about the card choices, and have a little bit of fun. And if we happen to have some success, then I'll be happy. But otherwise, we're here just for the experience and the learning. So we have your typical blue-red control shell here with your remands and your lightning bolts and your Archmage's Charms, cryptic commands, all the like, Jace the Mind Sculptor here in the sideboard. But we also have a bit of a side combo plan here with Pestermite, which can tap or untap a permanent when it comes into play, and Kiki, which taps to make a copy of a creature that you control. So you can tap Kiki, make a copy of Pestermite, use the copy to untap Kiki, rinse, repeat, attack with all these hasty Pestermite copies that Kiki makes and kill your opponent. That's right, it's an infinite combo on the spot. And it's much in the vein of Splinter Twin of days past. I did, in fact, play Splinter Twin while that card was legal in the format, and I happen to be a big fan of this strategy. So we are doing that today. And there are some interesting card choices. One of the main reasons why I'm excited to play Blue-Red Kiki in this day and age is the card Valakut Awakening. There's going to be a 3-mana instant that lets you put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom and then draw that many cards plus 1. 3 mana to help you dig for combo pieces that you might be looking for, or to ditch extra lands, as you're liable to draw in a deck that has 24 lands. And also having an additional land source, potentially, if you have a land light hand. All of these things are fantastic. I have personally been impressed by watching different players play Valakut Awakening in their Blue-Red Kiki decks, including a player by the name of Islands in Front. So here I am to give it a shot. We also are playing a few Shark Typhoons. This is a way to generate an additional big threat, something that can be played without fear of counterspells if you just cycle it to make a shark. Something that outpaces Lightning Bolt, which is important to have in a deck like this where all of our threats currently die to Bolt. We don't want that happening. And just another way to draw a card here, as you will notice I've actually placed it here in the 2-mana slot, and that's because the role of Shark Typhoon is to give us something to cycle early if we can't manage to hold on to it, while also giving us an additional big threat later in the game. I don't anticipate resolving Shark Typhoon as a 6-mana enchantment, but it is possible. And of course, you will also notice that we are playing the true blue player's island and mana base with 1 Mystic Sanctuary, no boils in the sideboard over here. And that's because I feel like one of the big strengths of playing blue right now is getting the ability to Mystic Sanctuary back cryptic commands or Archmage's Charms, that sort of thing, and that's something that I'm interested in. We also could potentially Mystic Sanctuary back some remands or something, so we'll see. In the sideboard, we have 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus to deal with those Uro decks. That also gives us some game against the Oops All Spells deck. We see 1 copy of Ceremonious Rejection, just as an additional piece of interaction against Eldrazi Tron and regular Tron. An additional way to make sure that turn 3 Karn Liberated doesn't come and ruin our day. Also lets us interact with things like Karn the Great Creator or Thought Not Seer, those types of threats. So we do see 1 of those. We have 3 Aether Gusts, of course, for the various Primeval Titan matchups. This also gives us something to do against the Renin 6s and Tarmogoyfs of the world. Very problematic for blue-red, and we do see a bit of interaction for those. We have 2 Anger of the Gods to help us deal with any, like, early creature threats. The type of deck that would play Devoted Druid or Voice of Resurgence or those kinds of things. Just a way to sweep away all the 1-mana creatures and resilient threats. Like, for example, if Dredge were to show its Angry Head. I don't know if Dredge still exists, but Anger of the Gods will come in clutch against those strategies. Probably also would bring it in against Burn to try to get a couple of extra creatures off the board, all for 3 mana. So we'll see how that goes. 2 copies of Mystical Dispute for the blue mirrors, and 2 Jace the Mind Sculptors to help us grind against the black-green X decks of the world against control mirrors. I could also see bringing in Jace the Mind Sculptor as a way to get the extra grind. And yeah, everything else is pretty standard. I will say that we do play a couple of non-island blue sources here to play around Boil and Choke, but this might interfere with our Mystic Sanctuary, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this league. Let me know what you think of the deck. I will see you guys in the games. All right, we have our first match with Blue-Red Kiki. I'm a little bit nervous, actually. Not usually the case for me, but we'll roll with it as I'm trying to get this to shrink. We're definitely on the play, of course, against Pedro Gush. Got a Blood Moon hand. We do have 2 Blood Moons in the main board, which is not something I mentioned in the intro, but of course we have a early Blood Moon, we have some early spells here, and plenty of lands to cast our spells, so we're definitely keeping this. Playing against a Lurrus deck, so if our opponent is playing a red version, then the Blood Moons might prove to be quite poor against them. If we're playing against a green-white deck, also the Blood Moon might be pretty poor, so maybe we should have mulliganed knowing that our opponent revealed Lurrus, but we'll deal. And I guess we might as well play the Polluted Delta to have the ability to Fetch Shock Bolt or Fetch Shock Opt. I think we'll be fine with 2 islands for the time being for our Blood Moon if we decide to even play it. Marsh Flats indicates maybe a Shadow deck. Basic Plains. Oh, okay, so this is the equipment deck, the Hammer Time deck with Sigarda's Aid. Very interesting. Bolt should be quite good against them. Just playing all the spells on turn 1. Okay. I do think we want to go ahead and Fetch Shock Opt here. Blood Moon could be quite good against our opponent, shutting off of there and Nexi, so interested to see how that plays out. We'll Opt. Also, the combo should be pretty efficient here. Don't need another land. Of course, we'll draw one anyways with the good old Scry Bug here. Our opponent's going to look at our top card. You see another Bolt. That's pretty good also, so let's just play out our red sources and pass it back. If our opponent has the hammer, then maybe we can stop our opponent's draw from doing anything. Of course, Sigarda's Aid being one of the most powerful cards in our opponent's deck. Letting them flash in aura or equipment spells. Of course, here they're going to be flashing in equipment and allowing it to auto-attach equipment to a creature they control once the equipment hits the battlefield. No blocks, no effects. Take the 1. We don't care about 1 damage. Pure Steel Paladin. Alright. We will definitely kill this one on sight. I don't see a reason not to just kill it now, so if our opponent plays out their last card in hand here, we might slam a Blood Moon, but don't really want to just get hammered here out of nowhere, so let's play our island and pass it back, I think. We have a Kiki, so if we can manage to draw a Pestermite, then we should be good. Our opponent has the black sources in their deck, which is very interesting. I don't know if they're actually playing any black spells. I mean, they must with the Godless Shrine, but I can't think of a black spell they would play. Maybe like Thought Seeds or something out of the sideboard. Definitely holding on to this Bolt. Remand is good. All right, I think we can go ahead and slam this Blood Moon now. Holding up Bolt, of course. If our opponent has 2 hammers, then good for them, I suppose. Maybe not want to yield here in case they flash in a hammer on instep. Cranial Plating. Alright, where is this one attaching? The Ornithopter. I guess we let that go. Maybe kill it during combat if our opponent doesn't have the thing. We could also just take 6. That's not really the worst possible option. Of course, we'll declare no blockers first. Okay, well. Yeah. Pestermite just basically ends the game immediately, so we'll untap here. Pestermite. Cryptic. That's fine. Pass it back. Alright, let's go ahead and bolt this Ornithopter and begin combat. Take our 2 damage here. If our opponent casts a Lurrus, then we will Cryptic it, because I do believe they put Lurrus in their hand last turn. Actually, I don't know if I would Cryptic the Lurrus. I'd probably remand it, to be honest. They're equipping the Pestermite. Yeah, so, not the Pestermite, what I'm saying. The Memnite, so probably use Cryptic to tap draw during their turn. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I guess we just take a draw here. Snapcaster Mage is quite good, getting all of our opponent's threats out of play. Giving us another couple lightning bolts if we Kiki copy. Cycling Unearth. So that is the black spell that they play. Interesting. Of course, they can't play it because of our Blood Moon, so... Nice. Memnite, that one's fine. We'll just Snap Bolt this one. Let them attack. And we can tap like this. Target the bolt. If we draw a land, that means we can bolt again by making a copy of Snapcaster Mage with Kiki. So I'm not sure if we actually want to block with this Snapcaster Mage. I think we probably do not. We can always yield to the Snapcaster abilities. Yeah, I don't think I'm super inclined to block with the Snapcaster Mage here, so we'll just take the one. Here comes Luris, and the Remand, which of course is going to be very good when we have a Blood Moon in play. Pestermite off the top. One time. A bolt, that's fine with me. Equip plating. You got it. Delta. So now we can hold up Cryptic for the Luris and bolt the Memnite. Okay, are we attacking? We would have to bolt this Memnite now to attack, and then they just re-equip here, so I'm inclined not to attack. We're missing out on some points of damage, but we're gaining an extra combat step here by doing so. This also plays a little bit better around a hammer, I suppose. Okay. If they do have a hammer, I guess we just have to Cryptic it. I think I'd rather have the Snapcaster Mage in play, so let's throw off the bolt here. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to block it. If they have a hammer, they have a hammer. They seem not to. Bobble, that's fine. Alright, play Luris. Let us Cryptic Command your Luris, please. There we go. Counter, draw. That one. Land, not really ideal. I guess it allows us to snap Remand, perhaps. Alright, well, at least we can play Kiki. Another Blood Moon. Well, that's one that we're going to get rid of with the Valakut Awakening at some point in time. Most likely. Here goes the Kiki. We can swing with the Snapcaster Mage, but I want to cast a spell during our opponent's turn, probably. Actually, we don't want to let them untap with mana and the creature in play in case they do draw a... There's a little bit of a missed opportunity here, because I wasn't thinking about it, but if they had drawn the hammer, then they could flash in the hammer in response to the bolt, and that would be problematic, so... Now they have no attacking threats. We can just yield through this turn. Ornithopter, fine. That's another one that dies to bolt. Steel Shaper's Gift. Hammer. Okay, well, we can just bounce the Ornithopter, I suppose, with Cryptic. Or just draw a Pestermite once again. Pestermite is the card. Pestermite. Off the top. Pestermite. Opt. That could be a Pestermite. If it's not, though, I suppose we lose, so I believe we're supposed to pass here. Attacking into the Ornithopter with the Snapcaster Mage is interesting to me. I think we want to make them commit the hammer before we do anything, so let's just pass. We're not winning by damage at this point. We just need to stem time until we draw the combo piece, so... Try to time walk our opponent here. And draw another planes. Fine. These Blood Moons are gonna go, I would say. Yeah, you can attack, that's fine. Go to 2. I don't see why not. No blocks. Yeah, that's fine. Now we can get the opt out of our graveyard instead. If our opponent doesn't cast anything, of course. Cycling Unearth, that's fine. Another Ornithopter. Is actually kind of annoying. We know they got the hammer. That's the card in their hand. Yeah, I guess we have to let this Ornithopter go. Alright, let's start with the opt from our hand and see what's on top. Pestermite. Perfect. Cool. Play the Pestermite now, and maybe our opponent will concede to it. Alright, so we managed to combo them in game 1. Fantastic. Alright, so this is a matchup for explosives. Probably for Anger of the Gods as well. Maybe not. I don't know. Depends on how many creatures our opponent puts on the board at once. Definitely a Ceremonious Rejection matchup, I would say. Relic lets us play around Lurrus a bit, but I'm not super into it. Our combo is going to be quite effective here, unless our opponent has, like, Path to Exile out of the sideboard. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go see what our opponent's sideboard choices usually are. Alright, so I'm here with a common example of a Hammer Time list, and we do see a couple Path to Exiles in our opponent's sideboard here. Ariok Champion as something that might be a problem for our Lightning Bolts and Angers. We don't really have a way to deal with Champion, which is kind of awkward. That might be okay, though, because our combo beats this with Pestermite, at least. If they have 2 champions on board, then we can't combo, though. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, okay, so that's irrelevant information. So here, the Blood Moons have got to go. Our opponent does have black, but I don't really care that much about it, in all honesty. It looks like it might just be a splash for Unearth. What else? Remand seems pretty bad against them. I don't know if it's so bad I want to cut them all. Actually, yeah, it is pretty bad. Let's cut some remands. Maybe just all of them. Would we rather have Jaces to keep the cards flowing? I could see that. Jace instead of remand. I don't know, though. We're very low on early interaction here, sadly. I think maybe 1 remand is fine. Let's... whatever. Screw it. Let's just bring in the Jaces and trim something. Jace is something that... actually, let's only have 1 Jace, because it's going to be difficult to protect the Jace while not dying to the hammer combo, so 1 Jace should be good. It's probably better than 1 remand, I think. See if we get punished for it by drawing the Jace. We have Opt, we have Bolt, and we have the Lance to cast our spells and a Shark Typhoon to start getting ahead, so this is a snap keep, I would say. This feels a little bit like playing against Infect, but not that much. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have a Sigarda's Aid hand. Of course they do. Fantastic, that's what we were hoping. Turn 1 to Mim Knight. Okay. Let's play out our fetch land here and pass it back, holding up the Bolt, of course, because we have to. If our opponent has a hammer, we will see soon enough. Stoneforge Mystic. Not one that's super surprising. We'll see what they search for here. Hammer, of course. Alright. I don't know if we need to bolt the Stoneforge Mystic. Let's see, what other equipment do they play? I had it up. Hold on, let me get this back up real quick. Alright, we're back. They typically play Cranial Plating, of course, Shadow Spear, all of the hammers, sometimes some Paradise Mantles. I've seen that as well. I don't think that there's anything that they could gain mana on. I mean, I suppose they could be playing, like, a sword or something. Maybe they side in swords? No. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be mana neutral if our opponent... at best, mana neutral, and at worst for them, it would be 2 mana to put a equipment in at instant speed. I don't think I'm super worried about the Stoneforge. I don't anticipate countering any kind of artifact from them anyways, so we'll just take our 1 and be okay with it. And we'll go ahead and take the damage and cast an Opt here, of course. Opt? Sure. We just want stuff to do with our mana, so... might as well take an Opt. Pass it back. Guess we could have held up double Bolt here, but oh well. Land and fetch. Cool. Let's see if they get a basic Swamp, perhaps. Basic Plains, okay. Steel Shaper's Gift, that's fine. Well, we are dying to double hammer here, and we could have had the answer. Yikes. Oh, they're attacking with just the Mimknight, so let's just take the damage, I guess. Yeah, sure. Okay, they're not going for it, which is fantastic for us. That's amazing. All right. We'll opt here. Cryptic. Nah. Never mind. This our opts have been wild. That's all I can say. These opts have been ridiculous. All right, let's fetch shock out Steam Vents now so they can't hammer us when we don't want them to, and catch us with a second hammer once we fetch. That would be pretty awful. Pass it back. We'll just keep taking one from this Mimknight. That's fine. Putting in a equipment at instant speed. The hammer here. Looks like they're attaching it to the Stoneforge. So let's say, no way, Jose. Cool. Pass it back. We can't make a chump blocker with our Shark Typhoon now, sadly, but that's okay. One hammer down. Our opponent has one hammer remaining. We're just playing the blue-red control game here, of course, and that is what we signed up for. Hammer. Sure. Target. On the stack. Nope. Should have done this last turn, when we only had one red mana up. Now we just yield through the turn. Pure Steel Paladin as the last card, that's fine. Oh, that's super tech. They can animate the Inkmoth Nexus to get the equips on this Paladin here. Well, we have a Cryptic Command to buy some time. That was really cool of them. Not gonna lie. I mean, we're gonna have to bounce draw this guy. Does the hammer grant trample? No. So we can't chump block with the Shark Typhoon for a turn. Because we would like to be able to bounce the Pure Steel Paladin and then bolt it in response to these equips. Let's see. So this doesn't change the fact that the equipping is sorcery speed. Let's see. Does Paladin do anything about that? No. Okay, so the plan is to chump block with our Shark Typhoon token here. And then next turn, Cryptic bounce draw the Paladin and bolt it in response to the first equip on the Colossus, I think. Stoneforge Mystic. Not doing anything about that. Now we can fetch up a Mystic Sanctuary to get back a second Cryptic Command if we have to. Shadow Spear to give the trample. Okay. Well, now if we bounce the Pure Steel Paladin, they can't recast it, so still has the same basic effect here if we just bounce draw. So that is actually pretty good for us. They can attack. Let's declare no blocks. See if they put in the Shadow Spear. They don't. All right. Bounce draw the Paladin. Kiki. Interesting. The Luris is still in their companion zone over here. Okay, interesting. Pestermite. Well, we have the combo. We just need to survive one more turn. We play the fetch land. Do we play the fetch land? That can get back a Mystic Sanctuary. Let's see, what's in our graveyard? So we could, like, have double bolt this upcoming turn. I guess playing the fetch land makes sense. We'll pass it back, and we'll see what we need to do when our opponent starts taking game actions, I suppose. Shadow Spear, that's fine. +1/+1, and Trample and Lifelink. Okay. So the last card is the Paladin. If we bolt the Stoneforge, they'll know they have to attack with an Inkmoth. So I think... Actually, we can bolt and then tap an Inkmoth, and they can't equip the other Inkmoth. It might be safe to bolt here. Rough. No, it's not safe to bolt because then they play a Paladin, animate the Inkmoth. They don't even have to animate. They just have the 0 equip here. So we need the bolt for the Pure Steel Paladin, I believe. and then we can tap their attacker with the first hammer with the Pestermite. I think that's what does it. Okay, Paladin is fine. In response to the first equip, we gotta bolt the Paladin, so they can't equip again. Pestermite will tap this Stoneforge Mystic, and then it'll be combo time. Definitely in the inter-combat phase here. We'll tap this good old Stoneforge right there. Always yield. Yes. Alright, if our opponent's last card is not Path to Exile, then we have them. And I am not playing around Path. Alright, let's make a copy of Pestermite. And we got the match. Fantastic. That was a really dynamic match. That definitely showcases the strengths of Blue-Red Kiki. In case you were wondering what Blue-Red Kiki's strength is, you just saw it in action. And, of course, other Blue-Red control decks might have trouble closing the game against a deck like Hammer Time, where your win condition is slow and plotting, and they can flash in, Colossus Hammers, or, play around different things to that kind of effect. And with a Blue-Red control, once you're ready to end the game is just over, and that's it. And that's one of the things I love most about playing a Twin-Light combo in the Blue-Red shell. Anyways, I've talked way too much. Hopefully you enjoyed this match, because I most certainly did. And I will see you guys in the next one. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.